Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. Happy Monday. Yes, Monday again, and we have the Mallard. We have two issues of the Mallard today. And yes, I've got the boiler cab assembly on the workbench. However, we're not really doing anything with that today. We are just trial fitting what we're going to be creating. And we are going to be adding a little bit of detail to the boiler backhead. And we're going to be creating, I think, the steps where the drivers and firemen actually will stand. So let's get into it. Let's get building. Okay, so here we are with the Mallard again. Issue 51 on this one. And we've got reach rod linkage, gravity lubricator, reversing unit, reversing linkage cover, and a left-hand floor, which is this bit here. So lots of little bits to go together. And we've got to drill out holes. Now, I have pre-drilled this one. This one was already pre-drilled. So, yeah, that was already done for us. I don't know why that one wasn't as well, but never mind. So I have done that, obviously, just to save a bit of time in the video. Same with these holes here. I've pre-drilled those as well, and I'll show you that when we get to them. But just building up this section, as you can see, and we do have the back head here, and that is just a case of trial fitting it all together. We're not actually putting that in place at the moment. We've got classic locomotives. About the LMS. And we have Great Railway Journeys, all through the Alps today. Now, this issue, we did get our replacement parts, which I've mentioned to you before. So this section here is just all about removing the old wheels and sorting out the new wheels. So I'll just give you a quick flip through that one. But that's it basically. Obviously, we've already sorted that technically because I'm using the new wheels, so we don't need to worry about that one at all. And then we've got issue 52, which, as you can see, is just the other side of the floor. And we've just got to assemble that together with this. Again, test fitting it into the cab. And then we do our a little bit of work to the back head assembly itself. We've got a couple of little bits that we've pulled from issue 4950. And at the end of it, we're going to have this. Right, and then in issue 52, we have the other side of the floor. And again, we're going to be test fitting that once we've assembled it. And then we're going to concentrate a little bit on the back head. And we have something that looks like that at the end of it. And we've got Britain's Railways. And another classic locomotives. Right, so as usual, I've cleaned up the parts. I've drilled the holes that needed the drilling. As I said, this one here was already pre-drilled for me. But I figured there's no point me showing you how to drill holes and clean up parts. You've seen it several times on these build videos. So it's just a case of obviously using a sanding stick, tidy up the edges where it's been formed, and then the correct size drill bit. And in this case, this was a 2.1 and this was a 3mm. But as I said, this one was already pre-done. And all I use is my pin vise. So yeah, the first start was drill those holes, and I've drilled holes in this as well. So I've drilled a 2.1mm hole just in here. And then in the top and bottom of this little cylinder, you can see here, there's a 0.5mm hole, top and bottom. And that's just going to take a little bit of wire. And that was it for drilling on that one. And the first thing we're going to be doing, or gluing together, are these bits. So we've got this little arm here, and I've realised that I haven't fully cleaned up that one. So we've still got a little bit of waste just on there. So just cut it off and clean it off like that. And this is going to go just in that hole you see there, like so. Now the way they do it is lay it down on the side like that, then you know that's going to be flat and straight. So make sure it's fully in the hole, and I'm just going to glue it from this side. So we've got that in there, looking just like that. Next, we're going to take this part, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue just in that hole, because we have this very tiny part, and that's going to sit in that hole using that lug. Push it into place, try and make sure it's straight. Now, the next thing we need to do, we need to take some wire and we need to bend it around here. Now we need the 0.5mm wire. Now this is last used, I think it was supplied in issue 11, and I think we've used it in several different issues since then as well. Right, let's go find, so we've got a nice pointy end on that one. And from the looks of the picture, now they've pre-bent this already in their picture, but it looks like it comes up out of here and then around here and then just back down this little dip, and then it will end up just like this. So that's how we need to bend it. So the first bend looks to be quite a small bend, just to get it down, and I'm just going to use my pliers to do this. And you've obviously all seen me bend wire before, so just make sure that goes in there, and that's probably a little bit too high. So what I'm going to do is just cut the end off that slightly. I'm just going to bend it a little bit first. So I'm just going to nip the end off, like so. Test it going into that hole. And what I'm after is that to be level with that block. And I'd say that's probably about right. And now that gives me a rough idea where I need to make the second bend to go round the block. So I'm going to get this shaped, and then I will show you the result. Right, so as you can see, that is now shaped around like so. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the end of this, and then I cut it to length. So I'm just going to cut that off just here, and that's what that is looking like. Now I do need to make another one of these. We need to come down out of here and around the side here. So this one should be much easier to shape and manipulate, because we're only going round and then around. So I'm just going to start off again by making my first little bend, which will go into that unit, like so. Make sure it goes up and in there. Like so. And then that's just going to give me the point where I can bend it around again. Just holding that in place, and then going to grab my pliers, and then I know that should be where I need to bend it, like so. And that's just going to go in there, check it for fit. So that looks pretty good. So again, just going to put some glue on the end of that, and then I'll glue that in place and then cut it off. I'm just going to cut that off like I did the other one. And just to help reinforce these, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the backs here, and that'll just hold those in place as well. Same with this side. Make sure it's in the correct position, and that will just hold that back section as well. That's what that is looking like. And now we're going to be adding this to the floor as well. And that's going to sit just in this hole, like so. Now, just checking for fit. Obviously, we want to make sure the back of that is straight and level to the rest of it. I might just use file just to flatten out the bottom of this a little bit. And a tiny bit just here. Just so that that sits together a lot nicer. There we go. That's now sitting nice and flat and level, as you can see. So all I'm going to do, put this peg in some glue, and then I'll put it in place. So I'm hold that there for a minute. And we've got that in place, just like that. Next thing I'm going to be doing is getting the rod linkage cover, looking just like that. And we've got this going in between, just like that. So all I'm going to do is just get that lined up, like so. And then I'm just going to run some glue around the perimeter of it, and that should be enough to hold it in place. Now, the next thing we need to do is actually do a bit of a trial fit. Right, so we've got that in there. It's only roughly in place, but that'll give us an idea where we need to potentially cut that notch. And it looks like it's just going to be to the side of this. Now, to be fair, it would have probably been easier had we not put these other parts in and we're testing the floor first. Now really, we didn't need to probably do much by putting that in there at all, but I'm going to leave it in there because the next thing we're going to be doing is this side of the floor, and you can see that will go in like so. Now that cap does need to go back, or that back head does need to go back a bit further, but it gives you an idea where things go. So that is all there's to do in stage 51. So we are going to move on to stage 52. So first thing I'm going to be doing is getting our floor, and then we've got this little box, which I think is the ash pan linkage. We're going to place that just like so, and this is so we can get them straight. And then we're just going to run a bit of glue around them as well. So we've got that on there, and then we're just going to put this piece just in like this. And before we fit that, we need to make a little notch out of the back here. I'm just using a file for that. So test fit it there. And you can see it just goes around that little step part, like so. And once I'm happy with the fit, I'll just glue that in place. So that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to dip that in some glue and we'll glue that down. So that's what that is looking like. And then we are shown to give it a bit of a test fit. And as I say, that bulkhead there is probably not in far enough at the moment. But that gives you an idea of what the cab is looking like. But we don't need the back head out because we're going to be doing some work on it. Right, so what we have here are a couple of pieces that we had from issue 4950 on that sprue that I left pretty much everything on because we weren't using them. So we've got 2 parts here from one sprue, 2 parts from the other sprue, 4950, and these are going to be going into the back head. I think this is all part of the whistle assembly or something, whistle linkage assembly. So what I've done, I've drilled 2 holes in the back head here, and they were marked, and this is a 2.1mm hole. And we're going to be taking these little items with the hole in that we pre-drilled, and they are just going to sit in like so. And I'm going to take this one and do the same thing, like so. Now, I'm not gluing that straight away because what we need to do, we actually need to run a wire through the holes. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to thread them both onto the wire, and then we'll put them into the holes. And then that way, we know they're both facing the right way, and that they're relatively, hopefully, straight. So I'm just going to use that wire as a temporary placement for a minute. Put one in there. Again, tweezer's going to be your friend on this one. Can't believe that just fell straight in that hole. So, pretty happy with their position. So, I'm just going to grab my tweezers, hold it roughly in place, and just put a dab of glue. And that'll be enough to temporarily secure it. And then we can secure it properly from the back. Right, so I'm just going to slide that wire out for a minute. And then we can just fill the back of these with a bit more glue. And then that's going to hold it in place nice and securely. So we've got those in there like that. And again, we're going to take our 0.5 wire again. Sorry, 0.4mm wire this one is. And this time we are going to put it all the way through. We're going to be putting the little handles on the ends. In fact, what I'm going to do, to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to put one handle on now. So I'll just dip this in a bit of glue. I'm going to put that through there. Just give that a minute to set. Right, so I've got one handle glued on there. I'm going to then now feed it through this hole here, and then through the next bracket, like that. And before pushing it any further, I'm just going to line that handle up. So we then have that handle captured just there. Now what I'm going to do is just lay those both down flat against the boiler. And then I'm going to grab a very tiny amount of glue, just touch the wire on this end. Give that a moment to set. And then theoretically, what we've got two handles in the exact same position, like so. And then while I've still got this nice length of wire that I'm manipulating those with, I can twist it so the handles come up and out like that, and we can use a little bit more glue to set the position. Right, so we now have both of those set like that, and then all we need to do is come along and we need to snip the excess wire, like so. And that's looking just like that. And that is all there is to do in that stage, and all there is to do in that little pack. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to give it a big thumbs up. It really does help the channel out. So that's the back head looking just like that, with the whistle parts in there. And I did go off-piste with the instructions a little bit with that one, putting those handles on first and then twisting them made it much easier. And that way you're not going to worry whether you've got them lined up, etc. So it is a much easier way. The instructions did tell you to put that wire in first, glue it, and then put the handles on the ends. But I think my way was a little bit easier. These are looking pretty good. I do like the contrast with the sort of like pewter and the brass look. Almost be ashamed to paint it all up, but it does look good. And also we've got the other floor part as well. So all looking very, very good. I think we are now moving away from the primary engine and also from the chassis, etc. We are just concentrating on the next few issues on just this back head. This back head was very difficult to try and get through that rear opening. Since we've put the doors on, I've not tried fitting this back in. It's just been sat next to it. The doors make it very difficult to get this in. The gap doesn't seem quite big enough now, especially with the roof on as well now. So it was a bit of a tight fit to put that in. And I need to find out why this isn't going back far enough into the cab as well. I'm not sure whether it's partly the top that's now fouling on the roof. And if that's the case, I can just file off a little bit at the top or possibly on the bottom. If it does eventually leave any gaps when it's in the back, then we can actually just put a little bit of filler around that. But I'd rather do that than break something when I'm trying to fit it towards the end of this build. I don't know when we're actually fitting that to the cab, but I do know we are going to be concentrating a little bit more on this back head and the details of it over the next few issues. And obviously trying to crowbar that or force it in, you don't want to break any of the details off that we've put on this, and I know there's going to be quite a lot more detail to be added to this. If you do want to see that or anything else that goes on in the workshop, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and ding that bell, and then you'll be notified when I release new videos. Until the next time, I'll see you around. Cheers.